Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Cielo Spiritual Foundation's episode and podcast this beautiful week. We have an amazing speaker. I'm just so excited to bring to you this beautiful Friday at 11. So, Debbie, who is a very dear friend of mine and colleague, is a trailblazer in gratitude focused on emotional intelligence and the founder of Spirituality Gone Wild. She is the CEO and she is certified in compassionate coaching, the author and again, CEO that is dedicated to transforming lives through her innovative programs such as Gratitude EQ and Heart Prints. With over 500 live stream shows, she inspires audience worldwide with her mantra, without the dark, you wouldn't know your spark. So Debbie's work emphasizes on resilience, self-awareness, and the power of gratitude to elevate hearts and minds. So I welcome you, Debbie. I actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. A little insight to personally, I met Debbie at a work conference for behavioral health here out in the desert, and she was working with another dear friend of mine and colleague, Josie Hernandez, and her business development work brought us together, and we have been friends since that day. And I'm so grateful, so very grateful for that.
Me too. Me too. I'm so grateful to be here, period. I absolutely adore you, Michelle. It is
Mm.
without a doubt how grateful I am to be here. And I just love you. And whoever just said Debbie G is the best, I love you.
It's pretty ironic that your maiden name is the same as my last name. Yes. The
Garcia.
Garcia girls.
Garcia. I love that. Hi,
So,
Sam. Good morning, Lizzie. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. And I want us to give a special shout out to Allie for all of the beautiful help that she has been giving behind the scenes. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
yes. Double thumbs up, Allie.
Oh, this is
So,
going to be
yeah,
fun.
it's a teamwork, it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
And that said, I'm really excited to start us off with a guided meditation so we can ground ourselves and center ourselves in our divine loving. So that said, I brought my bowls out today to play. And I just want to invite everyone at this moment, in this now, to close your eyes, drop down into your meditation space, comfortable for you, within you. I'm just going to do like a 3-minute little guided meditation. So eyes closed and let's begin. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale out, allow yourself to drop down in a groundedness space. Feel yourself grounded and centered in your divine loving. Breathing in life force, energy, love, letting go on the release to the moment of now, my greatest gift. I'm just inviting you to invoke your inner counselor. Trust all the answers that they come from within. Allow your truth to flow out today for us, Debbie, sharing your empowered journey, recovery, and healing around your experiences. And the topic today is moving through your domestic violence and healing, allowing that dark to become your spark, as you so put it beautifully.
Yes, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
was so beautiful. And Everybody, as we just kind of drop in, this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, domestic violence. So I just want to preface it with if it gets too tough, take that deep breath and come back to this space right now of your awareness of where you're at and knowing that I do see you, Hesla. You're good. You're right where you should be, honey. Uh, just knowing that you are safe. And if you need to be nurtured or have empathy, please type it into the chat. If it's getting too hard for you, just say, this is really hitting home for me. I just need a moment of empathy from you. And we'll just sit with you during that time, okay? Because not all subjects are super great and fun and G-vibey to discuss, even though I have gratitude. So before we take a deep dive in, Michelle, where should I start with this?
So I think just take a breath and drop into your inner counselor and ask your inner counselor to guide you, that maybe and with your experience, strength, and hope, you have something that will basically help someone else, that'll bring light and strength to someone else too.
I love that. And so it is. Namaste. And
Yes.
may God be my guiding force through this, or universe, source, whatever you all choose to subscribe to. Speaking of
Beautiful.
subscribe, make sure you subscribe to the channel today, which is Cielo Sober Living Foundation. And I want to thank you again, Michelle. So I'm
Dale
going to,
Spiritual Foundation.
oh, I blew, okay,
Okay,
blah,
Sober
blah,
Living is the
blah.
another business I have.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, though.
powerhouse.
We do what we can to serve.
Okay.
Mm.
Mm. Something today, and I'm going to start with this as we lead into a story that can sometimes be really touching for the heart. And I just sent this to Michelle, and that rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when others are happy because of you. And by sharing our heart, we're sharing it out. And so that's what I'm here to do today. So I'll take you guys on a journey. Domestic violence looks like something that I only knew I knew domestic violence growing up when my dad would drink too much, you know. I knew domestic violence when I would experience sexual abuse. I knew domestic violence when I started making choices as a very young girl to get married at 19. You see, because as a child, I'm growing up and I just want to get married and have children. That's what's going to fix all this. This is what's going to fix my lonely heart. This is what's going to fix being disconnected from source. This is what's going to fix everything, was to be married and have babies. And I did just that, you know. It was really interesting too, Michelle. So Wayne, my first husband, who is no longer on the planet, he was just absolutely darling. And he even told me, you don't want to do this. He even said, you don't want to. He said, you just don't. I'm too messed up.
Mm.
Coming from a background of fixing alcoholics, I mean, shit. You're just like said, hey, welcome. Come to me. That was like an open invitation for me to say, oh, may I come in and fix you? Oh, no, you just haven't been loved enough. You haven't been cared about enough. You just haven't been loved in the right way. Now, this is an 18, 19-year-old girl saying this, Michelle. How much do you think I really knew?
Mhm.
Zero.
It's real self-preservation, right?
Total.
You're thinking this is going to save me. This will fix it.
This is going to fix it. I'm going to, not only that, but he's my dad's business partner's son. We're all from the same class. We all kind of grew up together. This is going to be just right. This is going to be good. Now,
It's
granted,
11:11 right now. 11:11. Oh, sending prayer, sending prayer. Love you. Okay.
bless you, Wayne, from the heavens above as you guide me through talking about this. You know, my place in domestic violence is not knowing how to get my needs met either. My place in domestic violence was choosing situations that would keep me stuck in a story of perpetual shit, of perpetual victimhood, of perpetual, because I was never willing to look at myself in any of this.
Mhm.
Wayne was most difficult because he drank. Most difficult because he would go into blackouts and try to choke me out, and that would be a bad thing. I started Al-Anon when I was 22 years old. That's when I first stepped into an Al-Anon meeting, because that that was the only thing I had left to do. My mom,
Thank God.
yeah, right? Because what else do you do? You're a kid. I was a child. I had a baby who was at this point almost 3. And what it is chaotic screaming and shoving and fighting and pushing and beer cans thrown at my head as I'm walking into an Al-Anon meeting. But knowing that if I don't find connection with community that could help me, I'm going to die in this. You know, the night, and then I did it. I went to the meeting and I found people who understood what I was facing and going through, which was great.
Nice.
But I still had to go home to this shit, right? I'm still going home to extreme abuse, extreme
Mhm.
stuff. I want to tell you my part in that. My part in that was never shutting my mouth. I just need to tell you, my part in this was me demanding to be heard so badly, actually fueling a fire that I had no business being in, and I kept fueling it. I don't think as children when we learn love, that the attention we get, whether it's negative or positive, quite resonates when we become an adult and we're doing the same thing. So in my brain at the time, that felt like love to me. That felt like care. How I want you all to think, have you ever been with somebody and that you know is hurting you, but it felt like care and love? It's
Mhm.
not. It's not. It's a really ill attempt from us as humans to get our very precious, valuable needs met. When we are in abuse, it feels like, well, I know what it feels like. It feels like dropping to the bathroom floor, not having anything left, crying, God, what am I supposed to do? I
Mhm.
have this baby, I have this thing, what am I going to do? Knowing that I can get past the bruises, but the emotional pain, the things that were said, the whole thing. How do I pull myself up off the floor?
And that familiar, huh? And that familiarness somehow strangely finding comfort. This
It
can be really toxic for us. Yeah.
it was completely toxic, but that's what I knew. Though my parents were upper class, my dad, Joe Garcia, he's like the vice president of freaking Mark C. Bloom. He and Wayne's dad become partners in business together. They're blowing it all up. I this is for I want to tell you, it does not matter the lifestyle you come from. Abuse is abuse, no matter where it's at. I think I sometimes I wonder
Mhm.
if there isn't more abuse in the lifestyle I was brought up in, where you just sweep everything under the rug, and you don't talk about it. You don't
Mhm.
talk about being hurt. You don't talk about dropping to your knees, begging God to please, please, please get you out of here. Or if you don't get me out of here, God, can you just kill me?
Mhm.
Can you just take me out? Do I have to live here? Why do I have to be here? Why do I have to live if I have to be in this? Those are some thoughts that happen when you're in abuse. It's the most
Mhm.
confusing experience because it's mixed with what you think is love. It's mixed with what you are digesting as experience of this is a relationship or connection. That's where I was. But it didn't stop with Wayne. I did go to a battered women's shelter, Laguna Beach, called Human Options. That's where I met one of my lifelong friends, Kari. And I did reach out to other people who were going through what I was going through. I got on my feet and I did all those things, Michelle. And
Yeah.
I went through my whole pregnancy alone with Christopher, my
So
32-year-old.
I'm curious, what was the bottom? Like, what was the moving moment for you that propelled you to move out of that? And, you went to Al-Anon, you were saying, and then you were
Yeah.
still in it. And then where was the point where you went into a different place of living, like created a safer space for you going into these women's shelters that are made available in the world? So that's courage. I mean, what happened for you that allowed that
Well,
to happen?
all of it was really scary. When I hear people tell me they can't make changes because of, I literally packed my house in front of him. I packed everything in front of him. The day we moved everything out was he was at work and we moved everything out. I went to a shelter to be safe for a month because I needed space away from the chaos. Courage, it takes courage. It was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done was to take my 3-year-old and then go into a shelter but the chaos that poor baby was already in, at this point I had no other choice but to do something different. And I think it's been my life's experience has been always doing it something different if it's not working. But that pinnacle moment came when he pushed me down. He's wasted and he pushes me down on my son. Or one of the times when, I'm being attacked and he's choking me on the bed and he's in a blackout and I'm having to fight for my life with I grabbed something it was a light hooked onto the bed and beat him with it until like literally was beating his head until I stopped. Domestic violence is intense shit. It's like, I can't watch scary movies. I can't watch movies that have this kind of thing because my heart rips out. My nervous system can't. I can't take even imaginary episodes of somebody being hurt physically. When we are in survival mode, we will do anything that we have to do. And if you have children, you will do anything. You will do anything to protect the 3-year-old that's in the other room that so that's the kind of severity I've experienced in that. But it didn't stop with Wayne. I hope y'all know this. He wasn't the only
Mhm.
one. Y'all think
Mhm.
that pattern stopped just because I went to a shelter or had a child on my own with, or any of those things? No.
Mhm.
But that was the beginning of an experience that I didn't know how to maneuver. I maneuvered it the best I could. I went into survival mode and stayed there. And when I met
Mhm.
the next person, he who is still alive, so I'm not going to say his name. Uh, again, this was like 3 years later, and again, I'm dealing with radical abuse. Now this is the kick in the butt because he had worse abuse than any person I've ever known, and still to this day, I don't think I know anybody that's ever experienced any childhood abuse as bad as his. And he used to say he was like a pit bull that had been beat too many times.
Mhm.
There's no defense against that. There's only one way out of these situations for everybody who's listening, and that's to leave. That's to do it differently. I packed an entire house around somebody. With the second one, Michelle. Okay, so with the second one, I gained 150 pounds
Mhm.
with the second one. Okay,
Mhm.
so physical manifestations of what is happening in my life are happening. But before I get too
Mhm.
deep into that, any questions?
I'm hearing that it's like the you keep repeating the traumatic pattern until we heal from it, right? So you got away from it, you got to breathe, you got some safety, and then here we go again, right? And then food being somewhat of a buffer for you, so self-medicating through food now to preservations, like.
You guys, seriously, I was almost 300 pounds. I'm 5'10", but that was it. And I when I was 30, got diagnosed with cervical cancer, which wound up not being all that big of a deal after all. We had a big old healing thing, but something lodged inside of me that at 30 years old, I knew I had to make I had to make a change. I had broken my back when I was 17. I can't afford to weigh an extra 150 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a gastric bypass when I was 32. I lost 150 pounds this way, but it didn't change the aspect of what was going on around me. What changed around me was I'm going to start taking care of myself in the midst of another domestic situation where this guy would blow out every window in my house, like seriously, like punch out every window of my house. And being choked out by this man was some scary stuff, because that wasn't fun. And not to say that can I just say that, they also had good qualities. They weren't all shit.
I'm
They
sure.
had
I'm sure something, right?
something good, all right.
Yeah.
However, what I did, Michelle, is I told him, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this. I'm losing this weight. And that was the beginning of me beginning to break cycles of extreme domestic violence. So for an entire year and a half, I worked on just me, period. That's all I
Beautiful.
did. I was
And how?
32.
Like, so just the releasing of the weight, and what other things did you do to heal, like, while
Yeah.
this process is happening, right?
So while this was going on back then, I was a born again Christian back then. So I was listening to Joyce Meyer, who's like the steak and potatoes. She's not the dessert of spirituality or Christianity. She's a badass, and I still think she's awesome. I just don't agree with, the way the fear-based teachings today. But I got very big into my faith, is what I did. I continued my Al-Anon, continued working my own program, because it really takes that, is working that own
Nice.
program. But
Right. Beautiful.
in order to break that cycle, it really was about how am I going to do it? And I did it in the midst of with Wayne, I was pregnant with Christopher. I had to get out. I wasn't going to do this pregnancy again and have a child in another one like this. With the second one, I don't know. I just looked at him one day. He said, if you touch me again, I'm calling the cops. I wasn't a police caller. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't. And so when I said that, I meant it. I'm like, I'm legit, dude. Just whatever you need to do, bro. It's
How
going to
did
be on
that
you.
feel? Did that feel like empowered,
I
like
was
empowering
scared.
to
I was shaking.
vocalize?
I was
Okay.
shaking. I was
Okay.
shaking like a leaf because I was scared to death, but I really didn't care because I meant what I said. Touch me again, you're going down.
Good.
He tells me, when we split up, and then years later, he's like, that scared me because other people were going to jail for it. You guys got to remember, this is the late 90s here we're talking about. This is a long time ago. I'm 50, almost 57 today, so I'm 56, and this is a minute. So it's always been my faith. It's always been God. It's always been source for me. It's always
Beautiful.
been. But it's also about how I chose to start taking care of myself.
Mhm.
Domestic violence ends when we choose to see ourselves differently. It doesn't end because you leave the person who's hurting you. That's what I know for sure.
Yeah, that'd be one step in the right direction, but there's that more part, right?
Yeah, there's so much
Really, the
more.
work, the real work, the healing, the inner work, right?
It is the work. And what I got to tell y'all is that there isn't any other solution. Nobody's going to come save you. No one's going to any of that. It literally takes a decision within that you're worth more than what your life is looking like. And it
Yes,
takes
yes,
that.
yes.
And you start taking actionable steps. I see Helsa said that she says Joyce Meyer is a survivor of abuse. Exactly. She is. And, she, From Beauty to Ashes, one of my favorite books that she ever wrote, talks about the beauty that we come from the ashes. Without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. It's the same exact thing. That
Mhm.
gratitude, first off, these men that hurt me are hurting men.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that anything other than the grace I have that they were put in my life to give me expansion. Because there's no way an abuser's all excited and happy about living. They're not having a great experience, no matter
And
what.
I believe we talked before, and I had asked you, had they experienced that from their family? Did they come from that? And you had expressed that, yes, in fact. So,
Absolutely.
again, family systemic, isn't it? And if we don't at some point change the system, if we don't at some point practice new ways of, attracting newness into our life and healthy relationships and develop in healthy relationships and just really be open to learning and growing more and having the courage to take different actions. This is just not, it's going to affect lineages going forward, our children's children and children, and the lives we touch. So say children of in our life, like for me, like all of the lives that I've touched. And it's just really an honor to be a part of anything that's more healthy going forward. And God willing, like everyone wants every generation to be better than the next generation, right? You know,
Absolutely.
and that's so about evolving, and so the key to when you start getting on that, you realize, wow, this is what it's really all about, right? And I can only hope that anyone's life that I may impact has an opportunity not to have to learn it the hard way, because there is a lot of wisdom available out there if we just open up, listen in. That's why meditation just so key to me, because it's really hones us in and it attunes the intuition and it strengthens our capacity to react or in ways that are intuitively healthy, that are honoring not just ourselves but all of that, which is like every life force, energy, love. We're all interconnected, like you just so beautifully touched on. It's not just about our life. Our lives ripple affect all the other lives. And so thank you for this. I mean, this is so like deep. Like I'm just sitting here with this, like, wow, I just want to hold you. And I'm holding the space for like, it is a definite, huge transformative. Like if you guys, if you saw, I mean, I know Debbie today, and she's just like so fit and healthy and inspiring and educated and constantly educating yourself more.
Constantly.
There's so many attributes about you I love and admire, and I'm so blessed to be your friend. And I just, I'm honored to hear this aspect of your growth, because we've actually not talked about it. This is our first like really get into
Yeah.
your full story. So then, second husband, you're in it. It's happening. You're releasing weight. You're like getting some self-esteem in. What
And
else? What next?
I left. I said, we're done. I'm going to start dating. This was a year and a half I worked on myself. I'm like, we're done. I'm going to start dating, and you can leave. Stay. I don't really care what you do, but stay out of my way. I turned into this really hardcore, like, do not cross the boundary, because I mean business. And I know that might sound harsh, but the fact is that it's better to just be upfront and say, I am not loving this, and we're not doing this, and we're going to be done now. It doesn't even need to have chaos behind it. And this really didn't. I think there was an internal part of me that just absolutely was just seething with anger. And then this other part that was just dripping with compassion and empathy for knowing that he had the worst childhood trauma of any man I've ever known in my life, period, to this day. But how
You
long,
know,
but how
I
long
just,
did that, yeah, yeah,
I just want to pause there, because I think it's really, really important for us to define that in the knowing, like that he has this trauma, not making it an excuse though for him
correct.
to carry on with the behavior and take it out on you or people, anyone for that matter, right? But
Mm, mm,
instead just the ability to forgive, but not forget. Real important. We forgive, we practice this. Like we can do this right now. Like even in this moment, let's take the opportunity to go in, close your eyes, hold your heart. I forgive.
I forgive
And repeat after me. Yeah. I forgive my abuser.
my abuser.
He was doing the best he can with where he is at.
He was doing the best he could with what he had.
And I send white light, love, and protection.
I send white light, love, and protection.
May they find that moment of clarity that you did that says, yeah, this isn't okay. This doesn't work. This is not how I want to operate and move through feelings today. I want to have the full scope of a feeling, a beginning, a middle, and an end. No, it's not, permanent. It's just the opportunity to grow in it and how more educated we can be with our choices and the way that we can think before we react and not be just so reactive, right? Being reactive is like that, influx to be, like primitive, hostile, right? We evolve, we can think before we do and make and discern
Yeah.
and make higher vibrating choices that are, harmonious or wise. So, yeah.
I love that, girl. Harmonious and wise choices that are going to bring things to our existence that we prefer, and I love
Power
that.
of
And
choice.
I want to talk about the
Love it. The Hawaiian
Hono,
prayer.
the Hawaiian prayer.
I love it.
I'm
Give
sorry.
it, bring
I'm
it, bring it. I just
sorry.
did it.
Yep. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please
Oh,
forgive
please
me.
forgive me.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love you. Oh,
Huge.
so
There was
awesome.
a
That's
time in all of these relationships I've been in, I loved that person deeply. I was confused on what love looked like, but at that time that meant love. I thought they were loving on me. I thought I was loving on them. I was the perfect little housewife until I wasn't. I was the perfect little whatever till I wasn't. They had to deal with my trauma from childhood too, from sex, from all. So I was controlling with sex. I got my way with sex. I used it as a tool. I'd like to own my own accountability in these trauma filled, chaotic, domestic violent situations, that
you
there's a
know,
piece of that that's also mine.
I hear you. And I think, you alluded to that when you started talking about, when you sharing about your story in saying that, you were too young and you were not ready and you were literally like running into this marriage to fix things. And that's really never a great way for us to enter an intimate relationship that you even like go ahead and get married about, like make it even more, pressure about like and more commitment to staying no matter what, not knowing if this is even a healthy fit, right? To grow together. And it's just, I'm sure a new light of how you look at when you make a commitment with someone who's a beloved you chose because it is in the highest good that you could see, with a lot more wisdom today, a lot more healthy choicing.
I
Yeah.
think there's more healthy choices and a lot more wisdom today based upon the things we've been through. But I also think that there's a lot of things I had to look at in myself in relationship in attempting. First off, I want to tell you all that no matter where you're at, you've all been attempting to get your precious, beautiful needs met, and every one of us have. My value system though wasn't in check for even my own internal dialogue, nor were some of the ways that I was choosing to attempt to get my needs and my desires met properly.
Mhm.
And until I learned what those were, that was an impossibility anyway, you know?
Good awareness, such a good awareness. Can you talk to us about what your core values are today? Like maybe 10, maybe top five non-negotiable. What does that look like for Debbie today?
All right. So my core value number one is integrity. It's authenticity. I say authenticity. Let's start with authenticity.
Okay.
Period. End of story. Authenticity is also the highest vibrating vibration that we can be at as a human species. It's been tested. Authenticity is at the highest because that's when we are in our truest self. and our
Mhm.
self-realized space, So authenticity is number one. Number two is the value of, well, I guess authenticity, but also your connection to God. Have some sort of
Mm.
connection to source, but I can't really put that number one because what if you don't have a connection to source? Am I supposed to judge you for that shit? No. So, two, spirituality, authenticity. If you had your voice and your voice says, no, that's not for me, then I have to be accepting of that. So acceptance is another beautiful, huge value I have, just to be an
Mhm.
accepting human.
Mhm.
My value for active listening and reflection, my value for being a
Mhm.
kind person, my value for gratitude, my value for integrity, my value for showing up with a heart, my value for nurturing. I have a value for making sure that I'm of service, probably before, first and foremost, before anything else. But all these are,
I love that you mentioned
yeah,
nurturing. I think that
yeah,
that has to be such a key one for you. I'm like for all of us. I mean, I know it's a big one for me too, but nurturing is so key and it's so beautiful and it's so nice to give in those ways, right? So good for the
yeah.
soul. Oh my
But
gosh.
how I chose to, how I got to the point of discovering that I didn't know what my needs were or my values were through the relationships where I wasn't getting anything met and I couldn't figure out why they kept blowing up. And then I was
Mhm.
in a 12-year relationship that was like a whole lot of fun
Hmm.
with some with a lot with chaos. It didn't have the massive abuse and stuff. Uh, it had more just this. It had dysfunction, but I had a lot of fun. And
Okay.
honestly, like, yeah, I had a
That's
great amount of
good.
fun.
Good for
But it
you.
also, but it still wasn't getting those needs met because no matter what, I didn't know
So
what they
would it
were.
be so the needs oh that you didn't know you hadn't defined yet. Okay.
Had no clue. I was
Mhm.
in my 40s before I found Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Mm.
You know,
Love. Love.
I want to just say, like, my relationship with Jesus, with Yeshua, started when I was 17. And it was a by myself experience that blew my entire heart open. There's been
Mm.
this really, and I've had near death experiences throughout a couple of different times in my life, and I can tell you that it's my connection with God is everything, and everything that I've came out of, it's God source energy, and through me completely. That's what brings me to my wholeness. So
Beautiful.
with my values, getting my needs met, and all of my human things,
Mhm.
well, it didn't happen with number three either. And I didn't marry him. But
Mhm.
after
But
that,
you could see
Michelle,
some growth. Was there some growth? I mean, there was
there,
sounds like there was some growth there.
you know
Some
what?
semblance.
There was growth. There was attempts of getting my needs met in ways that didn't work. There was filling in where food couldn't anymore with alcohol for a year and a half because I
Mm.
lost I went to alcohol for a year and a half.
I don't
And
think
as
you
much
could.
as I
I
hate
thought you
it,
couldn't. You can't drink when
you
you get your
can't.
stomach
You
tied, right?
can't.
Like alcohol's like sugar. It's a poison, right, for the body with that.
So bad.
Okay, so but you can do it actually though. Like
You,
you drink a little and it's like super strong. I understand. I understood.
it's the worst. It's the worst. It literally made me sick as can be. So
But you did it anyway,
yeah,
right? And so, someone,
I didn't even care. I'm like, well,
insanity. Oh, I tell
I didn't
you.
look at this point. It's safe to consider that I have done every single thing. Yes, you black out completely. That's right. So I have done everything in my power to get my dopamine, my serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins to regulate in my brain for my nervous system to get freaking it's back in my body. And the thing about it is that we can use any of those shiny objects we want, but once you remove the shiny object, then you're stuck with yourself. And if you spend time alone like I did, 8 years alone, you start realizing that that shiny object thing kept getting me attention, but it wasn't, and it kept getting some sort of attention need met, even if it was negative, but it didn't solve
Yeah.
anything. Well, yeah,
No.
because my need to be seen and heard and recognized and loved and cared about and those kind of things, they weren't getting met, and I wasn't doing anything for myself. So
Mhm.
I just kept blowing up. You can't help but see me when you're 5'10" and a dripping mess, you know?
I see Helsa interjecting. Yeah, I know you get this, baby girl. I know this speaks to you. When you said her name, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
perfect, perfect talk for you to be in a part of. There's so many women out there that, have walked through this journey.
Okay, yeah, you haven't gotten drunk in
So
6 years. Yeah.
good job. I know, Helsa, you are a spiritual warrior, my dear Helsa.
I can tell you
We
that,
all
yeah,
are. All
yeah.
those have overcome, like be it physical, mental, emotional violence, abuse, verbal abuse. It's just so, it can sometimes hurt more than physical, you know, It's just,
Always, it can, but it's always there is a precious need of somebody that's not being met. So
Mhm.
the way that this turned around for me was when I was introduced to nonviolent communication, when I was introduced to a different way of loving, a different way of being compassionate with grace and empathy that is such a higher level, and asking those questions, what's real for another person? What's when they're telling you, they're hurting, rather than fixing it, saying, how can I hold your heart?
Mhm. Mhm.
And because isn't the basis of everything is that we get our heart held? And isn't the basis of everything that we're freaking in connection? And that before that we leave this planet, when we're laying on that bed, if we're lucky enough to be laying on the bed before we croak, so we can say, hey, love you. Hit you from the other side. Wouldn't it be great if those people aren't going to be sitting there. I'm not going to be sitting there thinking about, I really, 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 really wish I had, fed the dog before I got here. Or I really wish,
You're so funny.
I
Well, that is
really
a random act of
wish,
kindness. It's
like,
not so bad.
I'm going to lay here on the bed. I'm not going to be thinking about all the stuff that I'm going to be thinking about. Oh my God, that person I met, that heart, that being, that soul, that essence, that grip on their heart that they had on me and I had on them. It's going to be me thinking about people that I don't know, that I hope what you hear from me is that without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. Quit giving yourself excuses not to change it. But when we're laying on that bed, we're not thinking about Michelle. We're not thinking about stupid shit, We're thinking
Mhm.
about, the human. We've had some very dear friends of ours leave the planet. And I know that when Lee, the last few months that he was posting the biggest heartfelt, Lee McCormick posting the biggest heartfelt,
Mhm.
glorious, amazing words for us to grab onto as humans. Spectacular. Thank you, Lee. That's what
Thank
we're here to
you.
do.
That his whole life was committed to that. He is just a
Right?
healer at heart, and
Yeah.
I honor and respect his life force, and may it be going on, and I know it will, to do more of that. In his next life, I believe, we just ever
Yeah.
keep going, and there's just no end to all this. There, even the gurus have gurus. I talk about that. Like, there's no end to our capacity to evolve in this physical form lifetime.
That's
And
right.
yeah, it's just that it's awesome, and there are a lot of people out there committed to the work, doing the inner work. And I know, for one, that this show invites those that are interested in that to really hear and learn and grow together. I mean, we need reminders and we need inspiration. And you are, in fact, so incredibly inspiring yourself, Debbie. I can see Jessica on here. Amazing talk. She's acknowledging. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
for
want
joining us and hearing.
Anybody have any questions about some of the practices I do or some of the things I do on my daily? Just ask. Thank you, Michelle. I love how you recognize me and see me. I like attracts like. It's a
Indeed.
plus.
Yes.
I feel really safe talking about this with you, Michelle, because you've been in so many positions yourself that have been
Mhm.
scary or not safe. And
Mhm.
you know, I also want to talk about life is an adventure. That no matter what's happening. I mean, just a few years ago, I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do exactly, because I had to alter everything because my son and I needed to do it differently together. And I'm pretty stoked about that. What I discovered is that life is an adventure. Nonviolent communication, though, I'll tell you, it's a thing. It's real. That's my
It
favorite
is.
part.
It certainly is. Yeah. I have a friend. I don't know if you've ever met my friend Rue. She's a New Yorker, and she always gives heart hugs. So my heart onto her heart when she hugs press, like it's very lovely, and it's a fun exercise. If you've never done it, I encourage you to try it. Just give someone a heart hug, heart to
Heart,
heart.
I love heart hugs. And so I'm currently finishing up Heartprint. That is a guide on how to go and be of service with Heartprints. Same as Pay It Forward, but it's about Heartprints or heart hugs because that's really what the essence is. The people that are leaving the planet right now are not concerned about shit other than their heart and who they can touch, who they can hold. If anybody truly wants to know what is it that I need to be doing, that I need to do, especially right now in the midst of the holiday season, y'all need to be there for other people. Y'all need to just step forward right now and say to yourself, who can I be of service to in gratitude? And by the way,
Great. Great
gratitude's got,
question.
yeah,
Acknowledging. I
gratitude,
just want to
yeah,
acknowledge it. That's a great question. How can I be of maximum service, right? Take on in our phones.
yeah.
Good. I ask that often myself. Yeah.
Ha-
Key. Key. And
so,
ask and you will get the opportunities. It's like, it's all in the asking is like my prayer and communicating with you and God and others. And then the listening, of course,
yeah.
is our meditation. And we really get those answers. Thank you, Jody Cortez, for joining in.
Hi,
Heart
Jody.
first. That's right. Lead with the heart. And when my heart and my head are in alignment and sync, there's some really good flow happening, right? I'm in the flow. I can feel it's no resistance anymore. I'm not fighting everything and everyone and all it is. And I accept all that is, was, and is as whole, perfect, and complete. And that's a
Mm,
really beautiful, beautiful awareness and a vibration to be in. And just like that real acceptance you talked
mm.
about, which is one of your core values. Um, yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm just love it. What I'm going to encourage, I'm writing this book called Heartprints, everybody. I just mentioned that.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to share a bit. Living for others is living for yourself. And nature is our greatest teacher. It shows that fulfillment is not in what we keep, but in what we give. Rivers nourish the land, trees bear the fruit for the world, and the sun shines to bring warmth and life. Yet none of these natural forces take from what they give. Living for others doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding yourself in the joy of service. Think back to a time when you made somebody smile. Can everybody think back to a time for me that made somebody else smile? I literally just get so much gratitude and truth chills. It makes me want to cry. Every time I think about the hearts that I've been able to hold, because it comes back, This doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being or giving beyond your capacity. Rather, it's about recognizing how we are connected, how small acts of kindness ripple out, which Michelle said just a bit ago, outward in ways that we may never fully see. A word of encouragement, a helping hand, or even a shared laugh. In my own life, when I began to live with this mindset, something miraculous happened and I found my spark. So today I'm going to tell you that I want you guys to follow these simple little things, okay? Gratitude reflection. Every evening, take a few minutes to who are you in gratitude for? Who? Not the, I mean, the what's are cool and shit, but that's a who. We've already established the essence of humanity is the who. It's the we. It's the us together. It's Michelle and I and all of you watching. We are who's important. Okay? You're important. I am. And I want to say one last thing on the act of anonymous kindness. Anonymous kindness. Practice giving without expectation. do something for someone anonymously, but you don't need to tell anybody because that's between
Mhm.
you and the person that you gave to anonymously. Don't steal the joy of the sacred moment between two human beings that nobody else can share but you two. Do not need to tell somebody else so that you look good. You look good anyway, baby, if you're doing what you need to be doing. You don't need to be telling everybody else's business about who
And
you're
it
helping and what you're doing.
and it feels good. Feels good. Human connection is so vital. Someone spoke to that in the chat line, and I just like, yes, human connection. It's vital. Socialization too is key to life. I mean, this is what we've learned, right? And all of this interaction, this opportunity Debbie's giving you to connect with her, give them like your web information, give them your oh well, I can tell you her iPodcast show, which I was the honor of being on, is
Yeah,
called Spirituality Gone Wild. It's also available found on YouTube. You can subscribe and like her, and she's got some great hosts coming on, as well as, you know, all of this other work that she does. It's just like ongoing. You really are just like growing and giving so much, Debbie. Thank you again.
you rock, girl. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm in school full time because I just
Mhm.
keep advancing and advancing. I want to know as much as I can
Well,
about how.
your brain is a muscle, right? And if you don't lose it, you know, it's that cognitive stimulation too. It's just so empowering, and you know, we can get so turned on and activated about life with this knowledge, and then it's about integrating it, of course, right? So like, what do I
Absolutely.
do with this? How can I manifest with more with this? And how can I enlighten and be on that path of enlightenment to the most?
I love that. I want to quickly, Michelle's going to she has a commercial break just for a second, and I'd like to share about Cielo Sober Living and Cielo Spiritual Foundation. So we're going to play this really quickly.
Okay.
And everybody watching, I would love, ask us any question. Ask us any question before we go and give us something good.
Question. There's questions. That's where we learn the most. I love questions. Go it. Give it. Bring it.
Yay!
Welcome to Cielo Sober Living, a spiritual haven in Coachella Valley, featuring 12-step work, sound bath meditation, conscious recovery meetings, and other holistic practices to build a strong foundation. Michelle Garcia brings value to the program with a holistic approach. She guides and supports residents with care and dedication. Meals are provided, and dinner is shared together each night. Experience a safe and nurturing environment that fosters growth and healing. To learn more about our transformative offerings at cielosoberliving.com or call 877-394-8355.
Yes.
Look at that. Resources. Yes, we love to have
Resources.
resources.
Well, the resources are everything. And if you are facing domestic violence or anything that is that is scary, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, available 24 hours a day, 1-800-799-7233, or go to thehotline.org. You can do Shelter from the Storm if you're out in the Coachella Valley, and that is Shelter from the Storm. Partners Against Violence. That's partnersagainstviolence.org. That provides advocacy, counseling, and emergency response for victims of sexual assault and their families in the Coachella Valley. There's plenty of things that you can do to look online in order
Hope
to get
House.
help.
That's another
Hope
one.
House.
And they are a nonprofit, and they will take you in, and they have done great work with some of the women that I've gotten. One that lives here now, to help
I
in
love Hope
her.
House.
Yes,
I
yes,
love Hope.
yes.
What a great program. And then I would also mention, if you're out here in Colorado, we do have there's Hope, which is one of the centers here as well, is what it's called. And then out in the Barstow area, there's the Sanctuary for Domestic Violence that you guys can also get. There's just resources everywhere. And then Human Options that I went to in Laguna Beach is one of my all-time favorites. You can donate to these organizations. They're always looking for gift cards. They're all like Walmart, Target, mostly Walmart, because Walmart's like everywhere. But they're also looking for women's supplies and things like that. Anything that you all can do to support these organizations, especially coming into the holidays.
Beautiful. What a
Yeah,
great way to give.
yeah,
Wow, I like that idea.
totally.
And
Yeah.
you know, like Debbie outlined in her story, it's just not, once we are able to get into a safe place, it's really becoming important for us at that point and all through to really harness the spiritual well-being that we want to reach out also for ways to grow in that way, to get spiritually fit. And so I extend, of course, my retreats through Cielo Spiritual Foundation, of which I put together for the community. And then I extend my sound baths, which I extend to the community as a purity of my heart, always freely, here at Cielo Sober Living's home in Cathedral City. In fact, we're doing one at 1 o'clock today. I think Health is already RSVP'd, and there's no charge. It's just going to be a symphony of gonging and clearing and, alignment with the bowls and the flow and the beauty with the ocean drum. I just love a lot of different instruments and creating a symphony of different vibrations we can connect to and harness that, that capacity to really listen in and to attune and to become stronger in our capacity to have healthy intuitive movements and intuitive ways and inspirational thoughts through source energy love. Yeah. So that's here and always at Access weekly, every week, here at Cielo Sober House.
And I've been there for the sound healings, and they're amazing. And I also want to commend you for bringing Conscious Recovery with TJ
Yeah,
Woodward,
yes,
the
it's here.
Conscious
I get to
Recovery
facilitate.
forward. I'm
It's
so
an honor. TJ just, what beautiful language, if I may say, he chose in the
oh,
writing of that book that my clients here read out loud weekly. I mean, it's just like poetry. So we're doing this really dark inner work, getting our shadow work done here, right?
right.
And I'm so thankful that the verbiage that he's put together so poetic and just beautiful because, when people are inspired and safe enough here to share some trauma, or be it emotional, mental, spiritual, they can hear some words that help bring closure and just really bring in the light, to heal these wounds. And that's so key. As would say that I am also available. I completed a master's in spiritual psychology at University Santa Monica School for Spiritual Psychology. And I am available to do sessions. We could even do it online. These days you can FaceTime. Obviously, I prefer in person, but, I'm available and I'm flexible with, resources, and I'm flexible with, your how we energy exchange that so that more people could get, the therapeutic value resources.
I think that's beautiful, and I love that.
Thank
I,
you.
everybody listen, when you have people in the world that are willing to show up and sit with you and hold space and can give you guidance, I highly encourage you to do it. I had therapy this morning at 7 a.m.
Yay. Wow.
I did because I'm committed to the process. I'm committed to me. I'm committed to being the best version of myself I can be. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to screw up or not be perfectly human in my life, but I am going to be aware and make conscious decisions based upon what's going to be the best outcome for me, period. You
Love it.
know,
Love
yep,
it. And I love it that in your humanness, you have the most amazing opportunities to grow. I mean, it's just, we are human.
yeah,
We are spiritual beings having all these human experiences. And it's just that, it's just
that's all
that we
it
start
is.
as spirit, we're divine love, right? And then when stuff comes up like fears and trauma, it puts these walls, and then we get to tear down those walls and they come up because we want to live fearless. And the fearlessness, it's like the truth does really get veiled, and then freedom, true freedom, the truth. You were alluding to the fact that's one of your core values. I can see why, because the honesty is just so, and authenticity comes of that. We breed the capacity to be authentic when we know our truth. No one can really hurt us. We can laugh at our character defects and such. It's such a great place to be when we can laugh because we know we're working on it. If you're
Totally.
not at least working on it, like I want to attract someone with the same core values, we're at least willing to work on them, because
Yes.
it's like in the growing, we're constantly growing. It's a never ending, evolving process. So it can be so much fun too.
It's a blast, actually. When I start laughing at myself, did I do that? Urkel it. Just Quit taking it so seriously. I'm just going to leave you all with this. Who are you grateful for? And I was really interesting because, Elsa, I was talking to my therapist today about eating disorders, and I said, well, I'm curious, like, have I thanked my food lately for what I've been eating? Have I thanked it for how it showed up in my body? And have I looked at my food and given it some personality? I'll give you this. Strawberries remind me of eating sunshine.
Yeah.
So if
Um,
anybody is curious about their eating, get grateful for what you're eating, get grateful for your life, and
I
ask
am.
yourself the
I
question.
am. I think myself, I treat
She's
my body as my temple. I think about it that way. And I go to the farmers markets. I buy from them. I appreciate the relationship they
she's so
have in
good.
bringing it. And
Yep.
then I create colorful food salads that are stimulating to my psyche as I take it in. I enjoy every bite and I acknowledge that it's feeding me
Yeah.
and nourishing me and allowing me to vibrate on a frequency that's healthy and strong. Yeah, so I can get out there and do more and help more people and perhaps and get out of self in doing so, which is so awesome. Like you, I
She
thank
does
you.
it. She
Thank
does
you for
it. Yeah.
listening. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for inspiring me to share that little piece that's very sacred to me too. I think, that's
Yeah.
so vital that we learn, 80% is our diet. Like, what are we taking into our temple? What are we doing with it? And how can we execute some exercise or physical, health, well-being, things like I love hot yoga. I love hikes. These are some of the ways I, honor myself and just honor this temple, this body that I got in this lifetime.
Yeah. Let me tell you, she honors it. I honor it. Anybody that has ever seen Michelle, you should be honoring it.
That sounds funny. It sounds funny,
Tell
but
me,
no, but it's
she
all,
is,
it's
tell me,
really, it's a
yeah, it's
respect.
true.
It's mutual respect for yourself and others. It's like key.
Totally.
That's pretty up on my core values. Like, love and respect is huge. And so I love and respect
Yeah,
anyone who tuned in today to hear
me
something.
too.
Maybe it helps you. Maybe it reminds you. Maybe it allows you to create questions within yourself that you can ask more. This is really a root of where we grow, is asking and the asking. And then again, let's just all close with a meditation. Can we do that now, Debbie?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Super. Here we go. So just like closing our eyes, dropping down again. Take a deep breath in. Holding it for 3 counts. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And releasing out on the exhale. Letting go, letting go, letting creative intelligence, source, energy, love of God, however you want to call your guide, your inner counselor, God led us. Here we go. Feel into that. Feel into that light within you right now. So yummy. Just being in the moment of now. It's really our greatest gift. There you go. I love you. So just sending some divine love out to you. And hopefully this ripple effect we can carry with us through the day, brightens your day, allows you to shine, right? Shine bright like a diamond. Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. I see the good in you. Thank you for joining.
Namaste. Namaste.